Hello!
Hello! Hello!
Hello!
Hello!
We are here at this week's interrogation room after that amazing episode 6 that we just watched, Happy Birthday Vera, with the incredible Sigrid Thornton. Welcome to the interrogation room. Now, this is your first Facebook Live.
It is. And I've got this marvellous little camera, which I'm so impressed with because I've never seen one before. But it's like a tall, it's like a little disco light or something, and it has a little swivelly, whirly thing that, and now it's the static red, but it's very pretty. So you all look very pretty.
Well, welcome. Where do we start? One, we're super excited to have you on the interrogation room.
Thank you.
And as you know, I'm sure Tammy and the rest of the cast have told you, I am a very hard interrogator for fans, and I get to the bottom of all their niggling questions. So it's going to be a full-on 45 minutes, guys.
I'm ready.
Get your questions ready. Make sure you're pushing them through so that when we get to the Q&A,
bring it on.
We can really just get to those questions that we wanted, because I know you guys have been wanting to talk to Sigrid for a while. So. Here we are. Now, before we do anything, we always have to talk about the ep that everyone just watched, because we need to just move on and get to some other stuff. And that ep was wow.
It was freaky. And we all talked about it when we were making that episode. We all knew what we had in that episode because it was so full, it was so huge. And we all kind of wandered around saying, my God, how can there be so much action in one single episode?
How can there?
It's pretty jam-packed. And the climax is, as you've just seen, pretty, suitably revolting. So we can talk about that more later. But yeah, it's a terrific episode.
And the episode, I guess, too, sometimes when I feel like you have so many storylines going at once, it can feel a little bit disjointed and jumbled. But this episode just had you going from storyline to storyline to storyline and then back again. And all of a sudden you were just like, and then you come to this moment at the end where you're just like, holy crap.
I can't believe this is happening.
How did all this happen in one episode?
When I actually read about the script with the tongue, of course, I must say, and I've read quite a few Wentworth scripts now, I was pretty gobsmacked at the sort of audacity of it, really. But that is that's the skill of the writing, is that the plotting is very strong and the kind of interwoven storylines. It's actually really, really hard to do, and they seem to manage to
do it
punch
amazingly.
It out. Yeah.
So before we get too much into that, because Sigrid's actually going to talk us through some of behind the scenes stuff with that, guys, which is really exciting. Let's talk about Sonia Stevens.
Yes.
And let's talk about, so we've seen so much of Sonia this season, and I want to go back, I guess, Ep 4, Ep 5, the last two Eps, where we basically found out a little bit more about Sonia, because I think everyone was kind of thinking, did she do it? Didn't she do it? Mm-hmm. What's her plan? The role of Sonia has been played so well in the sense that you want to love her, but then the next minute you think, oh, hang on, is she going to actually harm one of my favourites, or is she okay? And then we find out she was in on it with Don.
Yes.
And she's known all along that poor Lizzie is witness X and just made her, suffer immensely.
I know.
And then Don double crosses her. One minute we think, oh, Don's dead. Then Don double crosses her, and now she's back in prison for the murder of her husband. What an amazing storyline that literally the majority of that end of that unfolded in one episode.
Yes, I'm really kind of pleased that people did seem to be genuinely surprised by the unraveling and unfolding of the storyline and the revelations that occurred in that episode, because it was difficult to kind of keep that, to keep the tension of that secret. And also the cat and mouse game that Sonia so enjoys playing with Liz. We wanted to keep that for as long as possible because it was delicious, but we didn't want to keep keep the fans waiting too long for them to hear what was actually going to go what was really going to happen. And I was delighted that people were so genuinely surprised that I'm sure there were people had their views on both sides, but a lot of people in the middle really didn't know. So
no, and I think it was great too. I mean, there's that little tiny teaser too with the hair shaver and the moment that we saw where where Sonia shaves Maxine's head, and it's like, this is a bit natural, and Liz is a little bit freaked out.
Yeah.
But then Liz has the nightmare as well.
Yes.
And then obviously we see what unfolds, and I think that gave a lot of tension.
And also we don't know. We're not quite sure, because we are going into Liz's internal, world. We're not quite sure whether this is happening in Liz's head, as you say. So it's
actually
her own
paranoia that's stealing
tantalising. Yeah.
Amazing. And I look. one thing that I did want to ask about this is too, and a lot of fans have been commenting on it, and I've seen all your questions, guys, around do we think that Don actually has genuine feelings for Liz, and that's where, or is he just Sonia was his target all along, he got what he wanted, and now he's actually gone?
I have to say, I think I really love the way Steve. I don't like to break the fourth wall, if you know what I'm saying. I don't like to talk about the actor playing the role because he's a character, but Steve did a beautiful job with John, Steve Bastoni, in that he's a smooth customer, and anyone's going to fall in love with him until we start to see that him from the outside. But I think he's opportunistic, essentially. I really think he's just a pure opportunist. And I think he just goes where the action is. And I think he's, terrifically interested in money. I think we tried to play with one of the scenes in the kind of whole revelation sequence. We did try to play with the director around the idea that there might have been a future for Sonia and Don in a different universe. And whether that comes across to the fans, because it was quite subtle, but it was fun for us to play with as actors. We enjoyed the possibility that there might have been something, but it was never going to fly because of course it's always revealed. Yes.
Yeah, and what a great storyline. And the other things before I move on from that that I wanted to chat about, and a lot of the different audiences and different chat groups talked about it. It was one of the very few episodes that actually almost, I think, 80% of it happened outside of the prison.
Yes.
And, that's a little bit scary, I guess, when we think about the show and we're used to it being in the prison. But it actually was great. And I think it still kept audiences completely enthralled.
Yeah, it was a different stylistically. It was actually quite a different episode. And we did have a new director coming in. So there was, people were kind of wondering how that would go down. But I think, I've said this a lot. I wouldn't want to make too big a meal of it. But I think that the show has such a kind of broad range of tonal range, if you like, and it's so kind of extreme and the stakes are so high, you can go in a lot of different directions, and not necessarily with ease. It takes expertise, but I think that you really can stretch this show a lot in different directions, and this is the reason why it's still so alive and so vibrant, in series 5.
No, amazing. Well, I won't unpack that anymore. Let's also talk about last week, which is, we've got so much to unpack with this, where Juice obviously threatened Sonia, for some money, trying to escort for a little Christmas fund, as Juice does.
Yeah.
And then Juice and the boys took Sonia out in epic style in the bathrooms. Yes. Now, look, we know what happens in the bathrooms with Juice, so fans are kind of like, I think maybe Sonia got out of it a bit lightly in comparison to what happened to Ferguson in previous seasons. But talk us through this scene, because apart from, I guess, the build-up to getting there, because Sonia really held her own and wasn't going to be intimidated by Juice at all. Mm-hmm. Juice obviously is a thug and
a very tough customer.
Did what Juice does in Juice's way. But I think one of the poignant things of that is that even after all this happened, there was that, and excuse me if I get the line wrong, but it was like, I won't let them win, or that they can't win. And it was just like, Sonia's like, no, I'm not going into protection.
No, that's right.
I'm
to that extent, I think, to unpack that, I think from I suppose from my end, as far as how I understand Sonia, I really think Sonia is lives in another kind of universe. She is on the fringes of the prison. She doesn't really belong, and she's very much an outsider, which is why she's been a bit of a dark horse. We haven't, there are often times when we don't see much of her. She's hanging around on the sidelines, and I think that's because she doesn't really feel like she belongs. She's always has an agenda, but she certainly is. Not to put too fine a point on it, narcissistic enough to believe that she is all powerful, and that really no one can touch her. So I don't think that she, this is why she allowed herself to. She was right at the end in the bathrooms. I have to say, she was a little bit freaked out when she really saw where that was going to go. She was very frightened. And as you say, she did get off relatively lightly, although when you see the look of her, but
it's still bad. But I mean, as in,
but it could have been much worse, and we know what goes on in those bathrooms, as you say. But but she actually is someone who's fixated on power, on gaining and retaining power, and so to that extent, she's certainly not going to be intimidated by someone whom she would consider to be a sort of lesser than.
Yes,
namely Juice.
Yes. And then we saw this episode, the amazing makeup. Like, I mean, no, last episode we saw it too. Like, we saw the scene of Sonia being wheeled out, and then obviously when Liz went in to chat to her, which the makeup was just amazing. And then we see now this episode with her in the wheelchair and still battered and bruised. Like, how long does it take for them to...
Well, it takes a while. I mean, we're in the makeup chair for a while, and Tess Natoli, she is a really consummate makeup artist, and I have to say that the makeup team, the entire makeup team is exemplary on Wentworth, and they make almost everything. There's very, very little of the makeup that's actually, perhaps I'm actually telling tales out of school, but I don't think there's nothing that's actually outsourced. And when I say that, they're often with makeup you have little patches and you have prosthetic pieces that have to be, in the case of Wentworth, they're all made in-house. I think I'm pretty right in saying that, which means that we require a lot of, the makeup department requires a lot of skill, but they have a ball. I mean, they work the hours, I've got to say.
Yes.
But they have a great time. And there's a lot of discussion and a lot of engagement with the actors about how we're going to take things. And there's always consultation. So we did discuss in some depth how far we would go with the makeup. And then, of course, Tess, who does my makeup, needs to discuss this with all of the departments, and everyone needs to kind of agree. There is collaboration. But Tess is also, really knows her stuff. She knows how long it takes for things to heal. And we discussed, what kind of... There's a lot of depth in the engagement with this, because you have to imagine what might have happened in the bathroom. Where was she hit? And where on her body was she hit? And we know she was hit. We know there's a lot of focus on her lower body, but we wanted to show the extent of the damage too, so that we really wanted to play up some stuff on the face, so that we could, and it needed to be such that we could that we could also keep continuity. There are always other sort of technical elements with makeup, so that you can maintain consistency. So there are a lot of considerations when you're planning something like this, and they do a wonderful job.
It's amazing. Yeah. It looks amazing. Amazing in the sense that it looks realistic.
Yeah. But I mean, it does look realistic, but we have to kind of, if you didn't laugh, you'd be really appalled. We do have fun in the makeup department, because really, I mean, some of the stuff that they've got to come up with, and am I allowed to talk about the Lucy?
We can read
with the tongues.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, that's because I was talking before about how they make all the prosthetics. Yeah. Well, you'd go in to take your makeup off in the afternoon, and there'd be about, sort of 8 tongues in a row, all different alternatives that Tess was paying attention. I wasn't sure about the length of that one, and the colour of that one's not quite right, and we think we're going to go with this one, and we needed a few different tongues, because they were, they had to appear in different places, and in different ways. And the amount of blood that was lost, and I mean, she has to know her stuff anatomically as well to prepare these tongues. But if you didn't laugh about it, you'd be completely appalled, because it really was quite disgusting.
And I think while we're on the tongues, like just the scene of when Juice comes out and literally vomits on Vera, and it just looked like. I'm really sorry, guys. I've slow-moed it to just see what it was that came out of her mouth, and it was kind of just like clotty, chunky blood.
A lot of, revolting stuff. Yeah. Really revolting.
Yeah, but
it actually makes me cringe even going back to that day, as a matter of fact. Because, of course, we had to, and there was a lot of, the makeup department has to also look after and nurture the person who's got to go through this experience as an actor as well, which is another facet of the makeup department's job. And, so we've got Luce out there in the back blocks. It's a challenging location, the exercise yard, and so there she was with the tarpaulins underneath. There's so much blood. She had to have these vast tarpaulins to kind of protect the surrounding area, and it was pretty out there. Yeah. And we tried as a cast perhaps I'm talking about myself more than others. I should only speak for myself, shouldn't I, in this regard? She didn't, I didn't want to look at Luce too much beforehand, because I wanted to get a genuine shock.
Yes. And I think, just the whole intensity of the scene, though, too, because it's such a gruesome thing that Ferguson does to Juice, but then it's got this poetic, cinematic music behind it, and then all of a sudden, the freak actually straddles her, and you're like, oh, shit's about to go down.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that I really think it's a very stylish episode. The use of the classical music, which is the motif for Ferguson, of course, but just the slow motion and the dentist chair and the tie-in with the dental work and the gas, which of course would have spaced her out so that she was anaesthetised. And I mean, it's pretty.
It's got everything.
As I said, I was pretty gobsmacked when I read that material.
And as big, I think the thing is too, as big as that storyline was in this week's episode, it wasn't the only big one.
No, we had the follow-up.
Like,
I mean, as a matter of fact, our producer used to sort of walk into lunch and kind of going, sort of, he doesn't have much hair, but but he sort of his hat would go on and off and on and off.
Yeah,
because he was so worried about the size of that episode. There was a lot to get through.
And then one of I want to call it the lighter moments and the moments that we all live for, because a lot of these storylines are very dark and very down, and I love that at times the character that Katrina Mossvick plays in Boomer can bring us some light and relatability, I guess,
She's
of
beautiful.
how we're feeling. And this new sort of found relationship between Sonia and Boomer and this new project. And I guess in the sense that obviously Sonia has her own agenda and there's an agenda that Sonia has, but there's this genuine connection between the two of them where I think for the first time in a long time, Boomer kind of feels she belongs somewhere, or she has a sense of purpose.
A little bit protected. I think they actually sort of protect each other, and I think that's where there is a kind of mutual respect for the fact that they can do that, and there's a kind of mice and men feel about that storyline.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the writers would probably agree, but there's a genuine affection, I think, and I think that I'm charmed by myself by the fact that Sonia can bring out something in Boomer which the audience has actually never had a chance to see, and we don't know much about Boomer's past, and this gives the audience an opportunity to find out a little bit more about Boomer and what makes her tick, and that she actually isn't without skill by any means at all. I mean, Boomer is very street smart, and she's in some ways one of the pure centres of the whole piece, really. I'd say her and Liz. But her purity comes from the fact that she doesn't articulate in the best possible way, but she's completely open and incredibly emotionally sensitive. So she's sort of in some ways the first person to kind of pick up on some different vibration, because she's got a very high emotional intelligence. And so there's something that I think that intrigues Sonia about this person, that she's the kind of person that she would never have come across ever in her life before. And I think she finds that both interesting and sort of charming.
And I think, like, that just reminded me when we first went back, I'm thinking it's episode 2 now, where Boomer was so upset about Maxine leaving, and it was actually Sonia that went in and chatted to her and was like, but it was kind of almost in this kind of like, come on, Susan.
Yeah, pull yourself together.
Pull yourself together.
Yes,
and she was just like, what is this? But it was endearing at the same time.
Yeah, I love that.
So I'm very excited to see where this new little business partners, this little relationship goes, and I do hope that it's doesn't end up sad for Booms.
Well, we love Boomer. I love Boomer. I do. I just love the character of Boomer. I love what Katrina has created, and I think she's very special. And you actually alluded to this before, the fact that in any kind of world or universe that's created, that happens in reality or that's created in drama for the pleasure and excitement of an audience, you can't just it can't all be dark. Yeah. There's got to be some lightness in order to offset the darkness, if nothing else. And I think that Wentworth does always trying to find that balance.
Yeah. And that relatability. I think that's the thing as well.
Yeah.
Okay, we could talk about this. Or I want one more question though.
Yes.
Sonia's plans for Liz. Is Sonia going to put Liz out of her misery? Poor Lizzie is literally having conniption.
No, I know. And again, there's another character that I love. So as Sigrid, I have a lot of trouble doing these terrible things. But Sonia loves it, because Sonia loves control, and Sonia loves that game. And Sonia actually would play that game till the cows came home.
Yeah.
I think she really would. I think it is very much, it's exactly like a cat and mouse.
Yeah.
And we often talk about that amongst ourselves, the cat and mouse game. And I think that the longer she can keep Liz on a string.
And it's she just enjoys it so much.
She really does. Yeah.
She really loves to see Liz squirm, but in the most loving, delightful way.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, I'm excited to see where that goes. But let's move on and let's talk more about you. And we've got some questions here that fans have asked before, and people always push in saying, if you ever get a chance to talk to this sort of stuff that I want to know. So I try and tap into that. So the first one is how would you describe Sonia's personality, and is there anything relatable to you yourself that you see in Sonia's personality?
It's a really interesting and good question, but it's a hard question to answer simply because as an actor, there's always something relatable. I mean, you're using your imagination and the memories that have come to you that have been built over an entire lifetime to create a character. So of course there's elements of you, and which is why you can have 50,000 different Romeos and 50,000 different Juliets, and they'll all be different with the same script. So yes, of course there are elements of me in Sonia and elements of Sonia in me, and I think that's the job of the actor, is to try and find as many of those as possible, actually, so that and it makes the job much easier.
Yeah, amazing. When you were first presented the script or the character of Sonia, what was your first thoughts?
The first I was really delighted to be discussing the idea of coming into Wentworth. And that was partly because I had a history with the show, with Prisoner.
Yeah.
And I believe I have the honour and privilege of being the first cast member to have worked on both shows. So I was really, pleased about coming into Wentworth and to be able to come into a show, which I know this has been said before, and I guess it's one of the things that you guys really like about the show, is that it gives an opportunity to so many different kinds of women actors who wouldn't have those opportunities otherwise, to play leading characters, to really kind of to go in depth every week on television, in a mainstream show. So I was proud to be coming into something like that, which is still a trailblazing show. Sonia, I had a joke that I came into the producers and said, well, Sonia Stevens is a really great name, but do you mind if I play her with a lisp? I'd like her to be Sonia Stevens, and so when she meets you, she says, hello, my name's Sonia Stevens. They didn't like that very much, that idea, but I gave it a go. But I liked the idea that Sonia was coming in as a really genuine outsider, that she was from a different socioeconomic background, that we hadn't really quite explored that in the same sort of way as we do with Sonia, with any other character. So I felt like I could break some new ground with her, and I was delighted. I really watched and when I knew I was going to play Sonia, I watched the show from go to woe again, and I totally watched it so I could immerse myself in the world of Wentworth, and I was really impressed. And I'm excited. So yeah.
Exciting. I love that. Well, in saying that, it's probably a great segue. What's been your favourite scene to film to date in Wentworth?
One of my favourite scenes is yet to come, yet to be screened, so I can't talk about it. But I love the stuff with... I did love the background stuff where we got an opportunity to find out what actually, we got
Sonia's
to reveal
backstory.
Sonia's true colours. But I love the kind of cat and mouse stuff with Liz. I love the stuff where I'm inscrutable, I suppose. I really enjoy those scenes, and I'm finding it hard to pick just one, but there are a few scenes like that where I can really enjoy just, having Liz on a string. Yeah, I have fun with that.
I just love how Sonia just orders Liz to make her tea. Be a pet.
I do enjoy those. I do enjoy that as well. See, there must be something about
Liz is just
I
standing
hope
there like,
I hope that's not
me. Oh, okay. I'll go, no, you're not. I offered to make you tea before and you want to make your own.
I'm going to have a sip.
You can have a sip of your tea. And then I guess, look, we couldn't get away without asking this question, because you do have such a successful and lucrative career, and a lot of people want to ask the question is in why acting? Why did you choose what drew you initially to this industry to have such a long-lasting, successful career?
I started as a kid and I never really, I had a very strong, serious drive to be an actor from a very young age. I lived overseas for a couple of years as a child, and I've done a little bit of personal research into this, and I've found that there are a lot of people like me who've had cross-cultural experiences as a kid. They've been lived in another place, and they've had to try and work out what it is to fit in. How does that work for me? How can I make that happen? And performance comes into that, and you learn about performance, I suspect, as a small child, trying to fit in. So maybe, and if that pays dividends, in being able to fit in, then maybe that's one reason. There are all sorts of subterranean reasons that we can go into, pop psychological reasons maybe, about what makes actors tick. And, I'd probably fall into some of those gradations somewhere along the line. But I've always just been so, it's something that I've loved from the word go. When we came back from living overseas for a few years, the first thing I wanted to do was join a drama class at about age 9, and I'd been doing some drama classes when we lived in Europe as well. But from the age of 9, really until I left Brisbane, I went back to Brisbane, and until I left home at 17, I did drama classes every week religiously, and I used to get the train, for an hour, and I was just dedicated. I was really devoted to the idea of being an actor. And I've always loved it. So, unfortunately, I can honestly say that it still has that same, it still gives me that same surge when I'm in the zone. I really feel still that same passion for it. And I also have a broader interest in the arts. I think that the arts and storytelling is one of the most beautiful things that we can do in life. And so I really feel it's a calling. And that actors have, not just actors, but all of the people who work in the arts, in the creative arts. So I do have a sort of broader, understanding or at least devotion, if you want to put it that way. And I know I sound, it might sound a bit corny, but that's where I sit with it. Yeah.
I think you can genuinely see, and the success that you've had is because you genuinely have a love and passion for it. And
yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, guys, I know you've been waiting for it. We are going to get Sigrid to play Innocent or Guilty.
Oh,
Yay! Okay, here's your paddle.
Goodie.
All right, so these are the hard questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Have you ever been in a fight?
I was bashed up at school in England and by some very bad kids, and I was locked in a locker. I had a really good, it was actually a good dress rehearsal for Wentworth, albeit many years ago, but not very pleasant.
Oh, that's bullying. That's not very nice.
That's not very nice, is it?
It's a good...
But I didn't really, but I've never actually gone conquer to somebody else. But I would classify that as...
Yeah, that is, you're the victim of a fight.
So maybe...
Innocently guilty. Yeah. Have you ever called into work sick because you were hungover? Innocent. Everyone's innocent on that one.
Yeah, because you can't in this business. You just cannot afford to take a day off. If the only time I've ever had a day off was when I was filming. I was shooting a picture called Slayton Wynne and Blanche McBride, and we had to shoot in a river. I had to be pretending to be drowning, and I must have picked up some microorganism in the river, which I was allergic to, and I honestly was like, I don't know if you know what I mean when I say Elephant Man. I was like Elephant Man. My head was like that, so there was no way I could film, and I had to lie in a dark room for a week, so of course they could claim on insurance and this and that. It's the only time I've ever taken, touch wood, time off work. Because you can't.
Well, you can't.
You're not allowed to. You've got hundreds of people, depending on you turning up. That's right.
Correct.
Yes.
Do you have any tattoos? Innocent.
Oh, yeah. Well, does that mean I haven't got tattoos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't got tattoos.
I haven't got tattoos. Do you sing in the shower? Guilty.
Very guilty of that. Very guilty. Especially when I'm happy. Just quite a lot of the time.
Have you ever been arrested?
Guilty.
Oh.
And I believe I'm not the only person.
No.
On the Wentworth cast
Bernie
who have been arrested.
Too, but you have to spill now.
Okay, I can spill. I was arrested when I was 13 for sitting down in a political protest with my family. The whole family was arrested. And I was taken off in the paddy wagon with my mum. They separated us off because we were mother and daughter. They were very kind to us. And I spent, quite a few hours in a cell. So, yeah. I've been arrested. I can honestly
That's
say I've been
it.
arrested.
You've been arrested.
It's quite a good party piece, really, because I didn't obviously.
You should just be like, "I've been arrested," and then stop there and then not explain.
I should have. It would have been more glamorous.
And then leave people be like, "Oh shit, Sigrid's been arrested."
Forced to be reckoned with. Yes.
Have you ever sent a text to the wrong person?
Yeah, but it wasn't very momentous. It wasn't very exciting.
Have you ever done a nudie run? Innocent.
Sorry.
That's just Tammy's. That's just Tammy's
I mean,
jam.
well, of course, Tammy has.
Have you ever re-gifted a gift?
Yes, I'm afraid I've re-gifted a number of gifts. Waste not, want not is my theory. Don't you think?
Have you ever considered being on a reality TV series? We talked about this earlier.
Yeah, no, not for me. Not judging, just not my thing.
Have you ever forgotten your lines on stage?
Yes, and this is actually a really awful. It still makes me cringe thinking about. I did a national tour of Australia doing some monologues by a wonderful playwright called Alan Bennett, an English playwright. And I had the first half of the show, and Brenda Blethyn, beautiful English actress, had the second half. And I had an Alan Bennett monologue, which took up this, it was about 3/4 of an hour something monologue. A lot to learn. Anyway, I completely dried in the middle of this bloody monologue. And I tell you what, I just had nowhere to go because it was a story. And so I had to go back. And so I got really confused. And so I had to say to the audience, I'm sorry, I've got to stop. I was mortified. And I had to stop and say, I've got to go back. I'm really, really sorry, but I'm going to have to. And they were very kind. In fact, I think in the live theatre, a lot of the time, audiences actually don't mind mistakes because it reminds them that the actors are actually human. And that they are in the theatre, seeing a show. But nevertheless,
standing up on stage,
the actor never recovers. You never recover from something like that. Never.
Yeah, no. Oh my goodness, I'm cringing for you.
Oh, there's another one too. I've got a really good one where I did the hosting for. Oh, this is a different thing. I did the hosting for the Nelson Mandela Concert for Reconciliation. I was the host. It was thousands and thousands, many thousands of people at Colonial Stadium. And I walked out on the stage with no script. This is a different sort of story, actually. And the auto cue had gone. And I didn't. And I learned a very good lesson: never, in a situation like that, turn up without your script. But
yeah.
I thought, well, the auto cue, we'd practice it all day and things like that. So I had to wing it. And I don't know what came out of my head. I just don't know what came out of my mouth. But I had quite a lot of script to do, and something came out of my mouth.
Well, we can blame them. It's
Thank goodness it's gone.
Auto cue's fault.
It's when these live things happen, they come and they go. And life
See, we
just
don't have
goes
a
on.
script on our live. We just,
That's
we
right.
just say whatever we want. Have you ever dated a castmate?
Happily married, long time.
And last but not least, have fans ever mistaken you for somebody else?
Yeah, I get. Well, don't they mistaken me for somebody? Oh yes, there is a wonderful actress by the name of Elizabeth McGovern, whom I was often compared to, and who used to apparently be compared to me as well. She's an English actress, American, married to an Englishman, lives in England. She's the mother in Downton Abbey.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we looked very alike as younger women. And so I used to get mistaken for Elizabeth, but I often get Sigourney Weaver. Weaver.
I see it.
So and because the name, and it's Sig, S-I-G. And so I often want to say, well, I'd like to have the length of her legs. And perhaps a movie franchise would be good as well.
That's all. All right, guys, it is the moment you've all been waiting for, where I shut up and I throw to you, and you get to ask all the questions. Be kind to me because I know how crazy this opening up the live feed goes. So are you ready?
She's good at it though. She's really good.
Are you ready, Sigrid? Because these fans, they are good interrogators and they ask really
hardcore,
good questions.
I'm ready.
Okay. So again, everyone, excuse me if I ever get any names wrong. I'm going to say Audie Scott wants to go, oh my God, full on tonight. And your character is deliciously diabolical. Are you enjoying the role?
Very much so. The more diabolical, the better. You can't get diabolical enough for it is yummy, I must say, being evil. They're often the most fun parts to play. So yeah, give me more diabolical.
Here's an interesting one. We did touch on this a little bit from John White. How is it being the only original prisoner member to come to Wentworth, and how different is the production?
Oh, it's a really good question. It's a very different production. Television's just come such a long way since then, you know. It's so much more sophisticated, and the audiences, of course, are more sophisticated. And we can do things like this. We can have a real sort of immersive kind of engagement with our audience. We shot Prisoner in a television studio. It was all shot. Now, there was a little bit of outside stuff, which we used to use the outside of Channel 10 studios for. But we did use pedestal cameras. It was shot on videotape, and it was very different kettle of fish. It shot really fast, faster than Wentworth, and we shoot. We don't. It's never enough time in television. Suffice to say, but it was definitely a kind of more. Primitive's the wrong word. It still had that kind of that raw quality. But we can experiment so much more with Wentworth, with kind of what really does actually maybe happen, because we've got a more sophisticated society, and television is different. Television is telling different stories, and it's not actually concealing as much of the truth, I guess, these days. Look, of course, there are lots of television shows that are concealing the truth, and don't get me wrong. Don't even get me started on that. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
This is an interesting one from Cliff Robinson. Who designed the style in the way in which Sonia wears the prison uniform, or not really wears the prison uniform?
That's a really lovely question, because our beautiful wardrobe department, Michael, and the whole department, they all put such a lot of effort into the teal. And you walk into the wardrobe department and it is just a sea of teal, and you'd go, oh well, it's a sea of teal, Well, what's the difference between one outfit and another? But there's a great deal of difference, as you have noted, and I'm so pleased that someone notices, because we talk about how can we differentiate this character and what would turn her on. And so we came up with this sort of slightly stitched up, well, not slightly, very stitched up version of the teal, which is but it does sort of, over time, it loosens up too. So we start off with the shirt that's buttoned up, and then it's well, we're not going to tell you what's going to happen, but we also have a little bit of a capri pant. We've tied. Sonia rolls the legs of her pants up. As I don't know if you've noticed that. Maybe there's not enough full body shots to pick that up, but we know it's there. So there's a lot of little details.
Sonia and teal.
Yeah, sweet.
Sarah King, you are doing an amazing job as Sonia. You play intimidating extremely well. What is your biggest difficulty in channeling Sonia's character?
It was especially difficult at first trying to work out how far I should push, because I didn't want to reveal. There was such a big secret that we had to keep contained, both as a cast, but certainly from Sonia's point of view, I really didn't want to reveal too much too soon. So that was very tricky. Now that we actually know what Sonia's capable of, I can pretty much go anywhere I like. So there's actually quite a lot more freedom for me now, I would say. Yeah,
which is great fun. Which is a great segue into Justina's question. Do you think Sonia and Joan could join forces?
Oh, I'd love it. The two, the archangels of the devil. Is that something you can even say? No, it isn't. But they are two. They're the two. I think Pamela might have described them as the Titans at one stage, which I liked as well. Sonia liked the sound of that. Look, it'd be great, wouldn't that? We'd love to see that.
I think it would be so scary.
I want it. Bring it on.
I would be so scared.
I'm not telling you what happens.
Guys, these questions are amazing. They're coming in so quick. Susan wants to know, when does Sonia become top dog?
Well, I can't. Again, I'm not allowed to reveal anything.
No.
I'm not allowed to reveal anything about what happens with Sonia in future tense. It's a really good question, though, because I think
Yeah.
I think she's got. Sonia knows that she's got what it takes, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's a question of whether she really kind of needs that, because I think there's also something that Sonia likes about being on the periphery of and there's a part of Sonia that actually feels, as I was saying before, it feels removed from the kind of politics of the prison, that she wants to actually have a kind of separate world, which she's starting to display now.
But she is quite similar in the sense of Joan, where she is always one step ahead.
Yes.
She's extremely intelligent, and she has more. She really plays people like a chessboard.
Yeah, and she does like power.
Yes.
That's
So
for sure.
I think I can see those similarities. Sorry, before I go away, I just saw this really good question, and now it's gone. Monique would like to know, have you ever read a Wentworth script and thought, oh, yes, or, oh, there's no way I'm doing that?
Oh, no, is the short answer. No, I haven't, actually. And I think that, that we have a process on the show which does allow the actors to engage, with some of this stuff before we get to we have a bit of rehearsal period, and as I said, there's never enough time, but we do have an opportunity to engage with the writers through the director and directly as well, actually, so that if there were problems of this kind, they can be circumvented. Then we can cut them off at the pass. But no, as a matter of fact, I haven't. That's the short answer.
Been great.
Yeah.
I had another great one. This is from Heather. And excuse me because I don't know who the character is, so I'm hoping you do.
Sure.
Do you think that Ros Coulston would have grown up to be like your version of Sonia Stevens?
That's a really good question too. Yeah, well, Rosalind Coulson was the character that I played in Prison.
Right.
And she was, it's a really good thought. And as a matter of fact, thickhead, it didn't occur to me. But maybe this is the sort of a kind of incarnation of Rosalind Coulson, because Rosalind was a kind of a very upper middle class girl who found herself unwitting. Well, it was a crime of passion. She murdered the person who'd murdered her mother, so she was in prison for murder. But she was very young and relatively innocent. But she had a tongue on her, and she wasn't anyone's fool. So,
Possibly.
So it's a really good question, is all I can say.
Yeah. Claudia Smith, did you realise how big the show would be and how it would grow on such an international basis?
No, I didn't. And but having said that, I might have known that, because, Prisoner was such a... Prisoner, even with the kind of more limited reach of television in those days, because of course now we have, the cliche global village. Everything can be seen anywhere by not anyone, but a lot of people, and so television has such incredible reach now, which adds to the sophistication element that I was talking about before. But with Prisoner, we didn't have the same kind of. The world was very different. Nevertheless, it did achieve an incredibly strong fan base, particularly in the UK and other parts of Europe as well, which remains to this day. The Prisoner fan base is still really, tight. And a lot of those prisoners, I'm really happy to say, have moved on to Wentworth. What was the question again?
It was about the fan base, and how did you realise it was going to be as big?
No,
Yeah,
I couldn't have predicted the kind of intensity of the fan base of Wentworth. I don't think anyone ever predicts. You can know that you're on a show which is different and has some kind of, a really strong point of difference and that's hard to do these days. A lot of things have been done, and it's hard to be really, really different. And Wentworth does that very, very well. So we knew that we had something special, but you never.
You can't know that it's going to It's just gone.
And there's a trickle down effect. There's a snowball effect, I should say.
Yeah,
with something like
this.
And
I think that does come down to what you touched on earlier, with having such a vast, array of strong female roles that are relatable to so many different women.
Exactly,
and that's what makes it.
That's right, and it's very unusual. And this is where I have to express sadness to say that it's still quite unusual. This phenomenon is still quite unusual in television, to have virtually all, Bernard, bless your heart, virtually all female cast, permanent cast members. That's still really, really unusual. And I'd like that to love to see that change over time. And I'm an optimist. I believe that it will change over time. But we are still in a pretty unusual position. Yeah.
No, absolutely. This is an interesting one from Crystal Williams. Why do you think Don and Sonia chose Liz to set up out of everyone?
Oh, I think Liz is you could talk about Boomer being a true innocent, but Liz is also a very pure person, and I think that makes her, she's not a fool by any means, but she's open, and not in the same way that Boomer is, but she's got a kind of purity of and a truthfulness about her. I think it makes her more gullible. And I think that was able to be identified and exploited. Yeah.
This is a little one that might remind you of your past. Lasash Foster says, "My mum used to serve you at the Summers Milk Bar 30 years ago when you used to come down and stay at your holiday house, and you don't look a day older."
Oh, you are just a gem. Thank you.
What a lovely...
I take that as a comment. That's what Tony Jones says, isn't it, on Q&A?
Yeah, that was lovely.
Thank you.
There's so many questions coming in, guys, and I am very, very conscious of the time, and I don't want to keep Sigrid because we are so excited because of our big announcement today that season 6 is back in production.
Yeah, that's a really, really big deal for us, and and we're very, very, very excited.
Yes, and so I don't want to keep you up too late, but let's see. This is a kind of a cool one. It's a little bit of a spoiler, and I'm gonna just let our lovely publicist just nod or not if we can say it.
To nod or not to nod.
Wentworth Memes would like to know: are you able to describe the season finale using just one word? No.
Well. No. I'm allowed to.
We thought we'd try, guys. We thought we'd try.
I have a word there's a word that comes to mind, but
no.
I think it would cover a lot of different scenarios, but I really do think that I better leave it because, it's so much more fun when you have to wait. And I know that. I know from watching television myself. I just get so excited about it.
All that says, guys, is that it's so out of this world that you can't even describe it in one word.
Let's put it this way, it just becomes more and more extreme.
So tune in. You've still got some episodes to go until we get to there. We're only at 6. We've still got lots of things to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to just start to finish up, guys, and thank you all for your amazing questions. That they've been really, really well. One sort of last one here, which I do like, is Boomer and the Freak in a fight. Who would win?
Oh. Well, you see, the Freak is a fighter. The Freak has her moves. I mean, she really, and she's actually she's been a fencer. So I have to go with the Freak. But I almost don't want to do that because I love Boomer so much. But I have to go with the Freak because she's been a fencer. And so she understands strategy and tactics.
We saw her do her matrix moves in I think it was
she's got those martial arts down.
But everyone, look, I think the sentiment is that everyone would like to see Boomer punch the Freak's
She
teeth
really would. And she could get some punches in, there's no question, because she's just so powerful.
Yeah, that's what we want.
And we want to see that, don't we?
We all want to see that. Gosh. Well, thank you all so much for your questions.
Thank you very much for your questions.
I think at some point I saw Sigrid sweating under the interrogation because they were great.
They were great.
Yeah. All right, guys, it's the final part of the evening where we do our final 15. Okay, so I'm going to shoot these at you, and you've got to give me your quickest reaction.
This is instinctive response, isn't it?
Instinctive response. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sydney or Melbourne?
Melbourne.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
Prisoner or Wentworth?
Wentworth.
Phone call or text message?
A phone call.
Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook. But I don't have either. Well, I do have either. I do have Facebook now. I have a professional. This is true. We were doing 15 questions. I do have a Facebook page now, but I've not been very much a social media person. But maybe you can, teach me. You just have to teach me.
That's it, guys. We just need to.
Luddite. I mean, really.
We'll do this.
Old-fashioned. I know.
We'll do it as a campaign, a community service.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Passenger or driver?
Well, this is metaphorical, or Oh, it depends. Both. I like both. Depends on the day. Depends what's happening. Where we're going.
Depends if you want a nap.
Depends whether I know where we're going. Depends whether I've got a map in my hand. So it's too many, variations on that theme for me to answer it.
TV
with any accuracy. Sorry.
TV or book?
You can see I don't like to be locked down. Both. Can't lock that one down either. Just can't.
Winter or summer?
Winter, probably. Well, yeah. But by the end of Melbourne winter, I'm over it. So,
Heels or sneakers?
Sneakers, yes.
Dine in or dine out?
Oh, this is really hard.
Can't sit on the fence.
I'm such a fence. I realise that. And I hate to be locked down. This is the thing. This is what you're going to learn about me. This is why these 50 questions things. When people ask me what are my favourite 10 films, I can never answer that question because I might change my mind tomorrow, and I want to have the right to do that, to change my mind. See?
No.
So yes. All right. So what's the question?
So let's go on to the next one then. Fries or salad?
Oh, fries.
Yeah. Loud or quiet?
Quiet.
Comedy or drama?
Drama.
Sweets or savoury?
Sweet.
And last but not least, tea or coffee?
Tea.
Amazing. You survived. Look
Yay,
at this.
I did.
You
I couldn't answer a
survived.
few of them. And I'm drinking my tea too. It's not Fruitalicious though. It is Irish breakfast with milk. Yes.
Delicious.
I survived the
You
interrogation
survived.
room.
Actually,
I can't
I
believe
do have
it.
one more question for you.
Okay, cool.
Because we were rushed on the Logie's red carpet and we didn't get to ask you.
Yeah.
And we've been asking every one of our Wentworth cast what their favourite
Colour
Foxtel
is?
series is to binge.
Oh, favourite Fox. Oh, you have to.
Like, are there any series that you're watching at the moment?
Well,
or that you've watched previously or that you just
love
love?
so many things. So many things.
Well, this is where I have to lock you down to one. You can rattle off a lot.
Oh, okay. Well, I love. Was that Foxtel? I think. I just loved Masters of Sex, which I came to late. That was just so good. I'm really. I think Big Little Lies is still going. I'm binging
we just
on
finished.
that. We just finished. Yeah, I was bummed that that's finished. Billions, bummed that that's finished. What else has just been? Have we been watching? Oh, there's so many. Oh my gosh, what's another one that I'm loving that is also finished? I have to rack my brains. There's so much good television being made at the moment. I'm just, I can't get enough. And I do like binge watching. I really enjoy it. But the problem we have in our house, it is actually a bit of a bugbear, is that we'll start to watch, and you know what my husband does sometimes? He goes off and watches it without me.
You can't do that.
It's just against the rules.
You can't do that.
It is.
If you binge together, you have to do it
absolutely.
together.
He's getting better, but only I have had to put my foot down a couple of times.
That could end a marriage.
It's really bad form.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a very, very good man. If that's the worst of his sins, then But nevertheless,
he needs to know the rules.
Do it.
You're listening.
There are rules for binge watching.
Together. You can't watch ahead.
That's right. It's like binge eating. Actually, binge eating is different.
You know what?
That's probably a solo effort. Really,
if you watch ahead, you then just have to watch it with your partner and pretend that you didn't watch.
That's
ahead.
right. That's what I said.
The rule.
I said, "Well, you've just got to sit." He does it. Bless him. I said, "Well, you just got to sit with me and watch it all over again." Then, haven't you? It's like, well, my daughter used to say to me. She said to me, "If you don't listen to me, I'm just going to have to start the story all over again." When she was a little kid, she used to say that. I was like, okay,
I'm listening. Well, thank you so much, Sigrid. It has been amazing, and I know that the fans have absolutely loved to have this candid time with you. Thank you. We look forward to what is to come for Sonia Stevens in the next couple of episodes. And we are looking forward to season 6. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me very much. Thank you. Sonia Stevens signing off now. Sonia's signing off. But no, I had a great time.
Thank you. And guys, do not forget to tune in 8:30 next Tuesday on Showcase, only on Foxtel. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.